Today in this video, we will talk about what is economy, how the economy of our nation works, economic cycles, and what is the role of debt in the creation of the economic cycles. And finally, we will understand that we as an equity investor, as an equity retail investor, how we can use our understanding of economy to invest wisely. So let's start with knowing what is economy. Economy is a very complicated thing to understand. The complexity is so high that if you will read some books or some journals of knowledgeable authors, even there you will not find a simplistic understanding of economy. So with this premise that economy is a complicated thing to understand, allow me to explain you what is economy, and I will try to explain it in a very layman's term. An economy is a system where the agents of economy interact with each other to establish a trade. So who are the agents of the economy? Mainly there are three agents of economy: the households, the businesses, and the government. How these agents interact with each other? Businesses offer jobs to households. Households in turn earn income and they produce goods and services for the company. So see how these two agents are interact. On one hand, there are households, and on the other hand, there is a business. Both of them come together. Business offer jobs to households, and in turn, households helps the company to produce goods and services. Now, these produced goods and services are then sold in the market, and the same households who help a company to produce goods and services consume the produce of the company. So if it is sounding too complicated, allow me to explain this economic activity in layman terms. Suppose there is a hermit or there is a sannyasi who is living in a jungle. He has a complete social disconnect with the world. He lives on his own. He does his own tapasyas, he does his own meditations, he plucks fruits from the trees, eats some vegetables, drink water from the river. He's utilizing no resource of the economy. So we can say that that hermit, that sannyasi, is not part of the economy, because first of all he is not interacting with the agents of the economy, and secondly he is not involved in the trade, the buy and sell trade. He's neither buying anything nor he's selling anything. He doesn't have any money. Mostly this trade happens when goods and services are exchanged for money. So this hermit doesn't have any money. He uses all natural resources and fulfill his needs. So he's not part of the economy. Consider ourselves. We as a family member, we as an individual, we live in a society. We do jobs. We earn income. We spend that money to buy goods and services. So actually what we are doing, whenever we are buying something, or a company is engaging us for employment, there is a trade happening between the two agents. So the two agents, the households and the business, interact and they establish a trade. When we join a company for job, there is a trade. When we produce goods and services and those goods and services are sold in the market, somebody else buys it, there is a trade. So in an economy, there are agents of economy and there is a trade. Several such trades happen at a moment of time. Millions of exchanges happen maybe in a fraction of seconds. So that builds the economy. That is what economy is all about. And there is a third agent in our economy, that is the government. The government's role mainly here is to monitor whether this trade between the households and the businesses are happening as per the rules. Sometimes the government also gets involved into this in the economy and they get engaged in the trade. When the government establishes its own enterprise, its own companies, it gets engaged in the economy. When the government spends money to build infrastructure projects, it is getting involved itself like a business and a household. So all these three agents, the households, the businesses, the governments, they interact with each other to establish a trade, and this is what builds an economy. So with this understanding of economy, let's try to understand how the economy of a nation works. So what you are seeing on a screen is a representation of a country's economy. You can see there are three agents: the households, the government, and the business. The households interact directly with the businesses. How they interact? First of all, the businesses offer jobs to the households, and in turn, the households earn money. In exchange, the households assist the business to produce goods and services. There are two activities going on one side. First of all, the business is giving money to the households, and in turn, the households are helping companies to produce goods and services. On the other side of the spectrum, the business approaches the market, and in the market, the household also comes to buy the products of their need. So on one side of the market, there are businesses who are bringing in products and services. On the other side of the market, there are households who are coming into the market to buy things they need. So here the trade is established. So see what the households are doing. Household is earning money from one hand and spending money on the other hand. And this process of repeated spending and this spending of the households becomes income for the businesses. In an Indian economy, there are crores of households. All these households have some needs. They go to the market to buy things, and who are producing it is the businesses. So on one hand, business is assisting these households to earn income, and on the other hand, the same households are buying goods and services from the market and becoming a source of income for the businesses. And in between the households and the business, there is a government. What the government does? First of all, the government's role is mostly as the policy maker and the administrator. Government knows that most of the activities that are needed by the households will be taken care by the businesses. But there are some activities that they need to do on their own, and for that, to do those activities, those common activities that are required by everybody, the businesses, the households, everybody needs those activities. And who will do those activities? Suppose there is no business, there is no company who wants to build roads, there are no companies who wants to build bridges. So here the government gets involved. What they does, they start collecting taxes from the households and also from the businesses. And from the taxes that has been collected, they spend that money to build infrastructure for the country. So this is how you see how the government is also getting involved in building an economy. So we have seen there are two main entities of an economy: households and business. Both these entities have some spare money in the form of savings. What they do, they use this savings and park it in a bank, or they invest it. So the money so collected as a part of investment is used by the banks to offer loan. Till now what we have seen, that all these trades that is happening between the business and the households are happening through the exchange of money. And from where this money is coming? This money is coming from the income that is generated by doing work. The households earn income by doing work, and the companies earn income when they sell the goods and services in the market. So this is how the income, the money is flowing. But there is another form of money in the economy that is called debt. How this debt is generated? Suppose these households and these businesses have some extra savings parked in their bank. What they will do? They will use this extra money and invest it with a bank. Let's say they approach a bank and they invest their money in a bank's fixed deposit. So the savings of households and businesses are now parked in a bank. So bank has a lot of money now. So what the bank will do? They will offer loans. They will offer debt to the households and also to the businesses. Households will use this borrowed money, the debt, to, let's say, buy a home, to buy a car. So the debts will be used by the households. The companies will also use debt to finance their working capital or to finance their expansion and modernization projects. When this happens, when the debt comes into play in an economy, people get more money to spend. On one hand, they have an income, and the other hand, they also have a borrowed money from the bank. So this way you can see, in an economy, quantum of capital is increasing. There is an earned income and there is a borrowed income. What company does that they borrow this money and they try to expand their manufacturing facility, and in turn when they expand they sell more and they earn more. So this is one aspect of economy where not only money is there, it's also debt, credit is also there. There is also another part of the economy which is imports and exports. The goods and services produced by the businesses are not only sold to the domestic market, that is also sold to other economies of the world. This activity is the export activity. There are some things in the country that is not produced within. So what happens in that case? That country imports such a thing to fulfill the needs of the households and the businesses. For example, we import a lot of oil, we import a lot of gold from outside. So this complete machinery of economy works mainly on three foots. They are households, businesses, and the government. These three agents generate income for each other, and the extra savings that these agents make, they park it in a bank, and then bank offer those parked money as loans for these households and for these businesses to grow faster. So this is one side. On the other side, the country also exports their goods and services outside, earns money from there, and they also need to import some. So this process of debt, import, export, production of goods and services within the country, the income generated by the households, the frequent trades that's happen in the market, these all constitute an economy. So now you will understand why it is so difficult to explain what is an economy, because there are so many dynamic elements that interact with each other to build the economy. Now, with this understanding of economy, let's take the next step and understand what is an economic cycle. We have seen that in an economy, there is trade happening between households and the businesses. But sometimes this trade is happening very fast. A lot of people are buying things, the businesses are producing more, and the people are buying more. So this is one aspect of economy. The other aspect is the people are reducing their spendings, and hence the businesses are producing less. On one hand there is up, and on the other hand there is down. So this is the economic cycle. So let's understand the economic cycle. There are four phases of an economic cycle. First of all, there is growth, then there is a peak, then there is a recession, and then there is a bottom. And these phases go on repeating in a never-ending cycle. It keeps happening again and again. If there is a growth, it will be followed by a recession. This never-ending cycle of growth, recession is called economic cycle. Now, while we were discussing what is economy, we have seen an element called debt in the economy. And that debt is mainly causing this economic cycle. I will explain you how. Suppose at present we are sitting in an economy where there is no debt. What is happening in this case? We as households are giving our labor to businesses. Businesses in turn produce goods and services and sell the things in the market. So businesses earn money by selling their goods and services, and we earn income by doing work for the business. Here comes the debt in the economy. What debt does? On one hand, it puts money in the hands of households. So because the households have more money, they want to buy more. And on the other hand, it is also giving money to the businesses. So now the businesses have more money. What they will do? They will expand their capacity of production. They will produce more goods and services than they used to produce before. What the debt is doing? It is not only fueling the demand, but it is also fueling the production capacity of the businesses. And because there is more demand, so all these increased goods and services that are produced will be consumed by the households. So this is the positive effect of debt. But suppose this cycle of debt consumption goes on for a very long time, means people go on taking more and more debt to fulfill their demands. Businesses go on taking more and more debt to expand their capacity. So here comes another element in the economy which is called inflation. We have to understand this. Whenever a trade is happening in an economy, so what is a trade? A trade is a buyer is buying goods and services in exchange of money. And all these goods and services are bought at a price. Whenever the demand becomes more, prices of goods and services starts increasing. And this increased price of goods and services is what is called inflation. So when the economy is fueled by debt, when the economic growth is fueled by debt, it causes inflation. So suppose there is an economy, there is a debt, and everybody is enjoying taking debt, spending more, businesses are also producing more and more goods and services, and because there is so much demand in the economy, the prices go on rising. Whatever the companies are producing, it is getting consumed. So companies are thinking, why not, let's sell this pen, we are selling it for 1 rupees, now from tomorrow let's sell it for 1.2 rupees. So there is a 20% price rise. And because there is so much demand, people will not bother, they will continue buying the pencil even at the elevated price. So this way the cycle continues and the inflation goes on increasing. But there is a cutoff to inflation. Every country has a policy that they will not allow inflation to go beyond the point. So in a debt fueled economy, the inflation continues to grow. So when a point reaches, when there is so much debt in the economy that everybody is pleasantly spending on things they need, the inflation is rising. But when the government notices that the inflation rate has to, let's say, cross 10%, it's the time to tighten. It's time to tame the inflation. So at that time, what the government will do, they will put a control on the debt. How they will control the debt? They will make this debt more expensive. Earlier, if the debt was costing an interest rate of 5% per annum, the government will increase this debt to, let's say, 5.5% per annum. They will continue increasing the interest on the debt. And when the interest increases, there are two things happening. First of all, when the interest increases, the EMIs on the loans increase. So it affects the sentiments of the people, and they think that okay, now the interest rates are high, let's borrow some other time. So they delay the temptation to take loan. On the other hand, you will see, because there was debt in the economy, the balance sheet of the companies will have a lot of debt. They have the interest to pay on this debt. So the expense on the head of the interest that they have to pay on the loan increases. So this again creates a negative sentiment, and the businesses think that okay, the loans have become expensive, let's not take more loan. On the other side, the companies who are not making enough profit, so what they will do, they will default on their debts, they will miss the debt payments. When they will miss multiple debt payments, they may even have to go for bankruptcy. So you can see how the government is indirectly controlling inflation by increasing the interest on the debt. When they increase the debt, the sentiments change. People think that debt has become expensive and they reduce their borrowing needs. On the other hand, the debt was already there in the economy, it was already there in the balance sheets of companies and also on individual heads. Because the interest rate increases, the loans become expensive, the EMIs become expensive, and people start to default on the loans. The demand for debt further reduces, and because the people and businesses are in problem, they start spending even less. And when the spending decreases, the companies start laying off people from jobs. The companies start producing less goods and services. So it is a spiral. So what initially was happening in the growth stage, the debt was increasing spendings. Now in this recession phase, when the debts becoming expensive, the spending comes down. As a result, the businesses incur losses. When the economy is growing very fast, it reaches its peak where the inflation becomes uncontrollable. So the government change their levers, they make the debt expensive, and the recession starts. When there is recession, the inflation starts to come down, and again a level of inflation reaches where government says no, it has reduced too much, now we cannot allow inflation to go further down. Now they again start decreasing the interest rate on the loan. So now what they are doing, they are again making debts less expensive, and they are telling people that go ahead, now you take loan. So you can see how this presence of debt is creating a growth cycle and a recession cycle. So as an equity investor, as a retail investor, why we should have this understanding about the economy and the economic cycles. In the growing phase of the economy, the price of good stocks also go up. And when there is a recession in the economy, even the price of these good stocks begins to fall. So as an equity investor, we know that when the price of good stocks are falling, when the price of good mutual fund is falling, that is the time to buy. So we as an equity investor, having our understanding about the economy and the economic cycles, we will know when to go and buy good stocks and when not to buy stocks, or when to sell the stocks. So when the economy is nearing its peak, that is the time where we should not buy any stocks, we should not buy any mutual funds. Instead, if required, we can sell some of our holdings when the economy as it is at its peak. Similarly, when the economy is nearing its bottom, that is the time where we can enter the market and buy quality stocks, quality mutual funds.